As usual, any corrections or additions will appear on screen. In a lot of ways, this hike reminds me of Devil's Lake in Baraboo, Wisconsin. The rocks are Precambrian like theirs, except they're older and they're metasedimentary. Here, this is igneous. The geomorph is very similar. A lot of talus piles, talus rubble, except you don't have, you know, Lake Superior there. But talus and rubble, this is all rhyolite. Big, huge cliffs. The hike is about the same, but the elevation change is roughly about the same. If you go up the bluffs at about, 500 feet, something like that. The trail here is a lot more treacherous though, not just because of the loose angular rock, because you're not by any big cities. There's no medical people here. There's no first aid station. There's no shops, nothing like that, no hotels. But it is a designated trail, so you gotta be very careful. Hello everyone, it's July 3rd, 2021. We are atop of Bare Bluff. This place is really cool for many reasons, other than the fact that you have to climb up from the trailhead, which is at least 500 feet lower, to up here, and we made it to the top. And you get a beautiful look at Lake Superior behind me, but I'm gonna talk about the rocks. All right, we came up the East Bluff. Usually people go down, but we came up it, and as you know, you're getting near the rhyolite. This is rhyolite, okay? You know you're getting near it because as you come up on the trail, you start seeing boulders, and then you start seeing talus and stuff like that. But something's interesting here. This does appear in our second edition of the Bedrock and Mining Geology of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. However, the site is not 100% correct. I knew this was coming. We just couldn't wait for Michigan Tech to release their theses to update the book. But the rhyolite you see here has traditionally, throughout the 20th century and early 21st century, has been mapped as an intrusion into the basalts of the Portage Lake volcanics. There's another one down by Montreal River, which we were going to go to today, but it's too hot and humid, and we already got our butts kicked. But even I still thought this was an intrusion. However, I have noticed since way back in 2014 and 2015, when I was doing the field work, do the reclassification of the Jacobsville group out here, and I identified the Jackson Creek Formation, which is, if you notice that in the field, even if you can't see a fault, it's a good indication that one is there. It's fault proximal deposit. I did notice that those 20th century and early 21st century maps had a problem. The Keweenaw fault on those is always modeled as a nice Zionist fault, continuous, it bends, all stuff like that. And in reality, it doesn't do that. And I picked up on that years ago, but the Keweenaw fault at the time was not on my radar so much as doing the Jacobsville. I did map Hungarian Falls a couple months ago, and my assumptions there are correct too. It's not continuous. It's more of a fault zone or fault system. And Tyrell in 2019 did a master's thesis about this area here. And Mueller this year also did another section of the fault. And we updated the book before those were released. But up here, the rhyolite now has been interpreted as a tight anticline with another section of fault running right through it, probably right here. It's not visible. It's not exposed. It's probably the reason no one has noticed it. They surmised it from the structural data, making stereo nets, stuff like that. So what you have here is you have the normal dip of the Portage Lake volcanics, include this rhyolite, on the backside going that way, and down this steep drop behind me, down to Lake Superior. It's almost a vertical drop. And somewhere in here is where a section of the Keweenaw fault exists. Now it also exists offshore, because like I said, it's a fault zone or a fault system. It's not this nice continuous thing that all formed at one time. So this rhyolite was actually probably deposited as a surface lava flow. And then the rhyolite would become buried by younger deposits and eventually become deformed and faulted tectonically later on, well after its deposition. So the rhyolite is a single flow, we know that. I don't remember off the top of my head how thick it is based off the new modeling. Anything in it that appears as bedding or something like that is not bedding. It's due to tectonic deformation. And there are fractures here too that seem to be nearly perpendicular to folding and faulting. But anyway, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I hope you learned something. Sorry, I need a sec. Looks like there's a breccia right there. Can't get over there. And that is where we are going. Up there. Oh, that's the house to the Montreal. Yeah, I think you're right. That's where the Montreal trailhead is, near that house. You park down there. And it's a nice level walk to the falls. Falls are in that bay right there. Can't believe I got an accurate GPS up here. Well, I got a GPS, whether it's accurate or not, I don't know. Stupid branch, like 5 feet up.
Okay.
Okay, we are hiking up Bare Bluff. It's called Bare Bluff because it's bare. Vegetation, vertical to nearly so in most places. Whew, sorry, winded. But anyway, we call this structure here, you see that little cave there, and this crack right here, this fracture. We call this particular point right here bare ass. There's the left cheek, there's the right cheek, and there's the butthole. I thought I was being funny.